My why is because I believe every single person deserves to be heard. That every single person has greatness within
Hello,
them.
I'm Kate McKay, and welcome back to another episode of Master Your Life. I'm so glad you're here. And today I am very excited to meet and introduce a wonderful, wonderful guest. I met Tim Arkell at an event, and I'm so grateful that I get to interview him on the amazing project that he's involved in. Welcome to the show, Tim Arkell.
Thank you, Kate. Great to be here.
I'm super excited. Two sentences, a readout on who you are. Tim is the executive director of Friends of Mahima, a 501c3 nonprofit that partners with Mahima India to aid in the restoration of children who are survivors of sex trafficking, exploitation, and abuse. Tim, thank you so much for being here. And thank you again for the work that you do in the world. We need more people like you. And I'm so excited to share this information with our audience.
Right on. Like it.
Yeah. So tell us how, tell us, first of all, I'd like to start off by just hearing a little bit about the organization and what they do. And then I'd love to hear more about how you got involved with it.
Yeah, sure. So, Friends of Mahima launched a year ago. We're just over a year old as a 501c3 nonprofit. And like I said, we partner with Mahima India. So Mahima India is on the ground, front line, doing this incredible work for the survivors of human trafficking. And we partner to help bring restoration to these girls and raise awareness, raise the resources needed here in America so that we can best support and be a good partner to them.
So well needed. So how
Yeah.
did you get involved in this organization?
Yeah. Yeah, that goes back to 2012. 2012, I had the opportunity to meet Smita Singh, who was the founder of the Mahima Homes. And really, her story is what impacted me and my family. I had young girls at the time, and she was sharing stories of girls who had been trafficked who were the same age as my girls. So things hit really close to home. 2012, I didn't know much about human trafficking. It wasn't talked about all. And so that's really the hook that got me in. I was representing other international works around the world, and I was not supposed to have any favorites, right? You're not supposed to do that when you're a rep. You're you have all your people you're representing, but this became a real favorite of mine for what they were doing, the impact, the stories of the girls and the staff there, and so that just gave me a journey towards being involved with that. And when the 501c3 was launching, I said, you know what, I'd love to be a part of this, and was able to join just over a year ago.
So awesome. Well, I didn't know that it was at the same time that your girls were the same age, really, of when girls are trafficked much younger too, but just at that age, and you see the innocence of your children and then understanding that what's happening to them. I think that's the real crux of it, isn't it? When we
That's
can't
right.
we see the suffering, and then we are entrusted with our own babies, and to think that other children don't have the same protection. It's heart-wrenching.
I think that's it. Like, human trafficking is horrible for any age, but when you talk about young girls, children. I remember my first time visiting the Mahima homes and just seeing how young these girls were, and seeing how, a teddy bear on their bunk bed just reminded me, it's like, oh man, they're so young.
Mhm.
And having to live through such a horrible ordeal, but to see them come through on the other side and leaps and bounds was amazing. But yeah, the age of children. So they've been helping girls for ages between 7 and 17 years old, right? For all these years, for 15 years. And unfortunately, this is just the brutal realities in India, that traffickers target young kids, and they target them with either a lure for an opportunity, or a friend, opposed boyfriend shows up and shows some interest, or just those actual snatchings and kidnappings that happen as well. So trafficking has been around a long time, but it's really it's really a big, huge problem in India with children.
Right. I think it's getting more exposure, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. I mean, obviously in America with the Epstein files and how actually that's much more of an international problem. And I think
Hmm.
that it's time for us to blow the lid off this, no matter where it's happening. And it's not just in America, and we have to serve other areas in order to bring that love and compassion. Tim, what I really admire about you is the light to which you live. You come, when I met you first, I was like, this guy has such a positive vibe. He brings such light. We met at our church, and you
Yeah.
spoke at our Bible study group. And I was like, wow, this guy is incredible. And I did end up reaching out on that day because there was something about you. And I
Mm.
think that what's really important in the work of being mission driven on helping others is that it doesn't have to be heavy, that we can be in the service work of doing good and still bring the light. Can you describe your path into the light, or were you always this energy, this bright light?
Yeah, I mean it's a great question. Thanks for asking that. I've had people say that to me before about just how do you stay positive in such a dark area, and I said, well, we got a choice. We can just dwell on how negative and dark trafficking is, or we can look at the positives that are happening. So I'll give you an example. The first time I went through the Mahima homes, I was flooded with emotion. My hand went on the doorknob, and all of a sudden I was like, oh no, what's going to be on the other side? I mean, am I going to see kids in the corners and despair and just downtrodden? But no, I went through and there was life and there was laughter. And I was like, these girls are modeling to me about being positive and staying in the light and being really just encouraging and uplifting. I mean, there's just so much bad news out there that we gotta put a smile on our face and hold our head high and just really be able to connect with people. I mean, it's just so negative. So I've always tried to be an encourager, somebody who can uplift others. It's just kind of my wiring, I guess we'll
It
say.
is your wiring. So you were always like that, yes?
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
your mom
so.
would describe you as such.
Yeah, yeah, she would have when she wasn't yelling at me for some other thing I was doing.
Right, exactly. So how is that to be? This is really more of like a personal question because I think that in a world that has a lot of darkness and a lot of negativity, how was that for you growing up, particularly as a man with this positive encourager role?
Yeah, I grew up in a Christian family that modeled that kind of uplifting, encouraging environment. Things were really good at home. I mean, we had our own challenges like any family did. But I think there was a real pivotal point in my journey. I mean, I was 13 years old. My dad passed away,
Mm.
and that kind of hit us hard, right? Our whole family was we weren't expecting that to come, and he actually had a heart attack at church.
Wow.
So it really, we came through that, and between our faith and God's uh, hope and healing that He gave us, and the church community around us, really helped give me some real solid examples at a young age of, yeah, let's be part of the solution, not be part of the problem. Let's be out there. Let's put ourselves forward and put ourselves in the way of. Uh, negative. I love the I love to redirect negative conversation, right? You can do that. It's a trick. It's a bit tricky to do, I should say, but I love doing that and just being right out there with the encouraging message that we have.
Well, the word encourage, the core part of it is courage, right? To bring courage to others in a way, right? It's kind of like
Yeah,
love the word enthusiasm, which means in God. But to be an encourager, I think is pretty wild. Courage oftentimes is negated by fear, fear of being judged or fear of it being too hard or fear that it's going to be the end result isn't going to be what we want. How do you instill and weave in the hope in your life and also in your work?
yeah. I mean that hope comes from God for me. I mean my faith is very important to me. It's led me down a path of incredible journeys around the globe to see others who have incredible courage and journey is in their journey as well. But it does come from it comes from God. It comes from maintaining a perspective of that this short, right? There's a short game and a long game, and I'm always aware of that, of where how long I have to be here on this earth, and that kind of keeps me motivated to be involved and connected with others as much as I can. Um, yeah, I think all those things.
It pretty much is your driver, right? I
Yeah.
remember my minister that I had at my church after my son passed. She was extraordinarily positive person. I mean, I think she had positivity in the strength finder, I think you do too, right? But just having that strength. And I was thinking, here she is in the grief work, and she works with military suicide, and she's still
Mm.
such a positive force. And at that moment, I was shocked because I was thinking that people who are in the grief work or in any kind of like places of tragedy must just be depressed and dragged down by it. But it's just not true. It's not true.
No, I mean, even as a kid, I found myself drawn to those on the outside. I found myself drawn to expand my circle and not just keep the two or three friends, but hey, who else can we add? And let's bring this guy in or this girl in. They're on the outside. Let's try to bring them to the inside. So that was something I did as a young person with even just I grew up with a sister had severe disabilities. Darlene had cerebral palsy, couldn't walk or talk. So that created a sensitivity into my life.
Mm,
For the less fortunate, those who are hurting in different ways. And that, although that was a disability, that expanded. I've thought of that often to even what I do today. Like,
mm,
how does that get you that connection from being, a brother and caring for a sister who was 2 years older than me, but was half my size, right?
mm.
And just to be able to care for her really gave me a heart and some eyes for the needs of others.
So powerful, dude. It's really, really
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah,
So tell us about Mahima. What is the foundation of it? What does it do? And
yeah,
how do we support it? We'll talk more about that, but I'm just so curious about the structure of it around
yeah.
that they help girls.
Well, I can't talk about Mahima without talking about Smita Singh.
Mhm.
So Smita of Passion. Smita won during COVID, too early, way too early. But really, her story is the story of Mahima. Like many people growing up in India or in America or anywhere in the world, there's needs around you. And often
Mhm.
we walk right on by. We don't see them, we don't hear them, or we do, but we don't process it. We don't let it get inside us. And that was Smita's story. She grew up in India. There's tons of needs of poverty and people struggling on the streets. And it was just during one of those journeys in her life as a bit older where she started to see the needs of the people around her. And that really opened up her journey to say, how can I serve? How can I help? And before long, she was learning about human trafficking and the needs of trafficking happening in her area. Uh, Back then, it was such a huge issue, and there wasn't any kind of uh, r- results or answers to this huge problem. So Smita got involved with the rescues. She got involved with actually intense rescues of going into brothels with police and dramatically getting these girls out of there. These are girls, right? 17 and under, and a child. So just like America, it's 18 and us up as an adult. So she was really involved and got involved with these rescues. But like any good rescue story, what happens next? Like, okay, I'm rescued. Now what? Okay, I'm out of
Yeah.
that, but what am I into, right? So we can't just get people out of something and not have any kind of restoration or equipping or healing of any kind. So what back then the story was that was the government homes were the answer, and these government homes were just very undersuited for the needs of these girls. I mean,
Is
they
that an
fed.
understatement?
Oh, they fed them but there was no medical or counseling or proper wraparound care, right? holistic care that these girls needed. So Smita was doing rescues, putting the girls in the home. Some of the girls were wishing they were back in the brothel. That's how bad it was.
Mhm.
So I mean, I hear that story. I'm like, what? That's crazy. So that really opened her eyes to actually ask the big question. Would it be possible to have a quality Christian aftercare home for these girls? That seemed like a huge vision, a huge idea. And yet, that's exactly what happened. Bit by bit, parties came around to join in that vision. She was able to recruit a staff. Some here in the US, some of us were able to join in on that in the early days. And that was the launch in 2010 of the Mahima Homes. And there was one home started in 2010. And to this day, there's now three aftercare homes, all for survivors of human trafficking, can house up to about 100 girls in the three homes. And they also now have two outreach centers in Sanagachi. Now, Sanagachi is the red light district of, of India, of Calcutta, India. And it's a really dark place. I was there this past
Huge,
March, and
right?
when I was there,
It's
yeah,
big, right?
it's a huge area, a
Right.
lot of people in there. It's not it's huge. It's condensed. Like it's although it's
Oh, it's
a
dense.
good size, it's condensed. It's packed in there with a lot of people and a lot of the combination of those who've been trafficked and then those who are in the trade of prostitution as well. So prostitution is legal in India, but it's illegal for trafficking and prostitution of children. So they have two outreach centers there, and they are for the sex workers of these children. So they've expanded over the years. We're 15 years in it now. Three Africa homes for the girls who have been trafficked, two outreach centers for the children of the sex workers, so they have a place to be and not have to witness firsthand what's happening. And so this is a huge part of their work now. They also enjoy the prevention awareness when they are able to get into the villages and the schools and to help educate and train on what the dangers are of trafficking and just to be careful. You see, when you're vulnerable and you're at your end of your line, you're very also very trusting,
Mm,
right? So being vulnerable is also being very trusting. And so unfortunately, many of these children and families become very trusting just out of desperation. When you're not desperate, we almost go to the other extreme. I don't want to trust you. Who are you? Like we're getting very critical, and who is this person? Like, and our guards go up and all that. So that's the sad part of trafficking. These traffickers are cruel. They're mean. They prey on the weak. It's like take on me, brother. Pick on somebody your own side. It's bullying, right? It makes you
mm,
it actually gets you fired up. We're on
mhm.
this podcast, but don't get me too fired up.
But what I love about you saying about that, about the different sides of trust, is that when we trust, then it opens up to vulnerability. But when we have that closed down, we're mistrusting and we're guarded. Unfortunately, what happens in that space is that we close down to human compassion. And I
Yeah.
think that's the most difficult part, probably for you and your work, but to see people who have so much and give so little because they don't understand that other side. And it's not a willful thing necessarily. I'm just saying,
Hmm.
in general, we're
Right.
buffered by abundance and privilege, which guards us against being more receptive to our heart being open to give more. A glance, a smile, $10, $100. Like it's not just the money,
Yeah.
care and compassion, all the things that come along with it. Because in some way, the more we have to protect it. It takes more energy to protect it.
Yeah.
It's a
So
wild,
true.
wild, wild image.
Yeah. It's so true, Kate. Like we we gotta be trusting. We're supposed to stay. I have a buddy who wrote a song called "Trust of a Child" and how we're supposed to just keep that trust going
Mhm.
throughout our life. It's not supposed to be like just as a child. I mean, think about it. One of my daughters jumped off a diving board into a lake when she was 3 years old because she trusted me because my arms were open,
Mm,
right? So we gotta keep trust going through our life. And when it is, yeah, good things happen for us and good things happen for other people.
mm. It's also holding the potential for others to be in that place and welcoming people into that sphere of trust, which takes great courage. I think a lot of challenges on this front, Tim, is really around people feeling like they want to help but don't know how. Well, how do
Yeah.
you help people discern that? I mean, obviously, you have a high level of discernment there on what things that matter to you, but how would you help people, or what words would guide people into learning how, where to serve?
Yeah. I actually love that journey. So as much as we're talking about over in India and the serving and all the things we're doing there, I love being on this side of the ocean to be able to help people identify things that maybe they are not sure they're passionate about or care about as much as they do. I love that journey of helping coach. You're a coach. You identify things and strengths in people, and you bring those to the surface. And we have lots of ways to get involved, right? So people think, oh, it's charity, you need more money. Yeah, sure we do. But there's lots of ways that can we can get involved with a work like Friends of Mahima. Uh, for example, just to shoot out a couple of them, on our website, friendsofmahima.org, we have an easy little subscribe now, and that gets you a voices of Mahima, news story from Mahima, updates and activities they're doing, just so you can better understand where they're coming from, better understand what is trafficking and how things are in India. So that's an easy one. Subscribe. How easy is that, right? Like, I think the harder thing is after you subscribe is actually take time to read the short, and I keep them short, emails each month to stay updated, involved. Donating is huge. Donating is our whole cause. It's a resourcing this work over there. So you can help at $1 to $100,000 goes a long way in India, right? So we, for example, $540 a month helps with any of their education and different um, needs they have for food and nutrition. The homes take a lot to operate, but the American dollar goes so far when you take it to India. So donating is huge. Referring and asking others to join and being a part of it. Like I think that's a big one. Like sometimes the gift of referral is better than your own financial gift. You say, hey, you should talk to this business leader. You should talk to this church might want to be involved. Or I know some other group. I love that. Recently, I was just in California for the holidays over Christmas. And you know what? We had friends that opened up their home, invited 15 people into their home, and had a lovely night just hanging out, a little dessert, little catch up time. And then I did a Friends of Mahima presentation with the TV, with video and content that way. I had question and answer, great way. People did support it, came on board. That's a great one to host something at your home or office or church or wherever you are. We love that one. Come on a tour, come on an actual trip to India, see firsthand. We do these, we call them vision trips, where we invite you to join me on a trip and you could see firsthand this work and how powerful it is.
Yeah, that's
Those are
great.
a few of them. Yeah.
I know, but listen to that. You just like hammered them off. I think it's really important to just educate yourself and stay curious on what interests you. Because I think that
Yes.
that's the most important thing is how do we tap into the serving heart? Not knowing or saying, I don't know where I'm best to serve, no matter your age or what time or resources you have. It all matters. And that's certainly the hope that I hear from you, Tim, is that it really does. It all matters. It
It
all
all
matters.
matters. One quick story. I got to tell you this one. This is so powerful of why to go. Like people are like, oh, why should I go to India? I don't know what I'll do. The power of our presence. We show up, right? We show up. It starts with showing up, right? Things can happen after you show up, but nothing happens till you show up. So specifically on a trip, we had a team of older ladies, not old ladies, older ladies in Texas that said, we want to go over to India and see these girls and meet this work called Mahima. Well, what do older ladies in Texas have in common with young girls who've been trafficked in India? Not a lot. They breathe the same air. They're so they started to think, what can we do? What can we possibly do? Here's what they did. They brought some China. like teacups, Royal Dalton China teacups to India, packed them all up, got them there. Miracle they didn't break on the luggage ride over, but they made it there. And in India, they also have these clay teacups called they're for chai tea, and people drink them and then they smash them on the ground. They actually just disintegrate and they throw them on the ground. It's just part of the culture, keep somebody employed. That's what they do. These ladies had this idea, and they brought the fine china and the clay teacup, and they said sometimes girls they got an opportunity to be in front of the girls and speak with them. Sometimes we feel like these clay teacups neglected, thrown away, unwanted, discarded. We're here to say that we and God sees you as valuable, precious, high value, and we want you to know that.
Mm.
They had that moment and it was about that long. It was a big hug and a lot of tears coming down. And
Mhm.
those ladies found out why they went on that trip, right?
Right.
But it starts with that openness to say, I'm willing, I'll go and let the things be filled in after that. We often try to figure everything out way ahead of time. Just start with some willingness
Mm.
and go from there.
I
I love
love the
that.
willingness. I think you shared something with me about just the precious small moments that you see with the girls and how the girls care for each other. Can you share
Yeah.
a story of that?
Yeah, for sure. It just again, when I was just there in March, the older girls kind of take on the younger girls under their wing, and many of them have no education, so they're just learning the basics and reading and writing. They could be 12 years old, but maybe at a first grade reading level, right? So they help each other a lot. And while I was there, one of the younger ones, she was probably about 8 years old. um, she couldn't read, but she'd point in the book at pictures, and there'd be a picture of a young girl in the picture, and she'd go, "Oh!" and she just made the noise, and then like patted her on the head on the picture. So I thought it was kind of, and she's smiling and laughing, and she's talking away in Bengali, which I don't speak, and she's showing me this book, and every time there's a picture, she's doing this. So, I could pick up the cues. So when I got the chance to turn the page, I pointed at the girl and went, "Oh," just like she did. She laughed so hard. She was like, I thought that was the greatest little moment of connection. It's
Right.
that simple. It's that small. It can be a lot bigger than that. It can be that small. But when we go and we show up and show our interest and show our care, amazing things happen like that. One other story, and it's a bigger story, but I can't help but think of Irma. Irma was a girl who was actually grew up in Nepal with borders, born out in a rural village, Nepal, and that place had nothing. And thatched roof, dirt floors, kind of picture you can get in your mind. She was lured for a job opportunity at a young age. Family thought it sounded good, and the next thing she knows, she finds herself in that Sanagachi brothel in red light district of India, Calcutta, India. Long from home, she's desperate, she's hurting, she's in pain. This is not obviously what she signed up for at all. And thankfully, she was rescued and ended up in the Mahima homes and began that long journey of restoration. She was there a couple years. And during that time, she really was able to get educated, become healing through the art therapy, the dance therapy they do. They have a whole holistic care, vocational training, so that later she would have something she could go back to. So after her time at Mahima, this was amazing. This was a story of courage and resilience. She ends up going back to Nepal, Kathmandu, the city she's from, and is now a school teacher, and she's teaching children now because she received an education and warning them of the dangers of trafficking as part of her curriculum as she teaches. I
Mm.
love stories like that where you see the full circle come around. And that happens people like who are listening to this podcast right now. This is, if you're listening to this, this doesn't just happen. It happens because of partnership. It happens because people jump on board and say, yeah, I'm in. I'm going to go on a trip. I'm going to donate. I'm going to refer. I'm going to get connected to this. And that beautiful model of partnering and working together is how we can help Irma's and many, many other girls that Mahima Homes serve.
Yeah, so good. Those stories are so beautiful. I just want to say to all the viewers and listeners, if you were inspired by these stories, if you feel like this is a place where you'd like to make a difference, I am also going to be sharing the links in the show notes from this podcast. And as Tim was saying, there's so many ways that you can serve, 25 bucks, 250 bucks, like whatever you have that can help these people, your money will really go far. And also, yeah, reach out to Tim and he can share with you other trips that are being scheduled there. I may be hitting it up. India was not it was like one of those things. I'm like, I don't want to go to India. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can't believe I have to go to India. Like, like it just felt like that's where I was called to go. And so say yes to what calls you in your heart,
You know
because
what's
as,
great about India? I love that
yeah,
because India's far, and that's why people don't end up going. People like to stay closer, but it's exotic. It's an adventure going
right.
there. Like if you're at all, like it's actually very hospitable. I mean, yes, there's all those needs, but there's beautiful places to and visit. Uh, to be with those and the staff at Mahima. The staff are incredible there, but they're wonderful hosts, and yeah, I highly recommend that too. Kate, got to
Yeah.
get you there. Let's
I
do it.
know. Well, that's the plan. That's absolutely the plan. And
Yeah,
like I mentioned earlier that I met Tim at a meeting and donated right away and then said, let's meet so that I can learn more about this organization. I said, oh gosh, I have to get you on the podcast so that we can talk and share this very, very beautiful and important restorative. I love that. That word is so beautiful. I believe it's our sacred obligation to help restore people and to bring the
yeah,
hope. And Tim, I'm so grateful that you are so committed to such a job and such a task. So thank you.
yeah. Well, thank you, Kate. Thank you for jumping on that. I just love that you heard a presentation, you donated, you reached out and said, let's get together. And it's like, boom, you're a person of action and you put your money where your mouth is and you act on things. And I love that. So, and I thank you for this time today. It's been amazing just to be able to visit and chat and enjoyed all your viewers and people listening too. Thanks so much. Yeah, Kate has we can put up my email and phone and all that contact stuff and website.
I sure
Yeah.
will. I'll share it. Do you have any last minute words of encouragement for our listeners and viewers, Tim, before we wrap it up?
Yeah, yeah. We're in a new year, right? New year means new things. So we got to challenge ourselves to not stick to the status quo. So let's be a year of get involved. Let's be a year of seeing others, right? Let's see them and help them and serve them. If that's with us or somebody else, let's just be a part of it. Like this, let's get our eyes off our navels and look up a bit. Let's stop the navel gazing and open our eyes and our hearts and minds and ears and everything, our hands to those around us. We'd love for that to be with us at Friends of Mahima. If it is, that'd be great. If it's with somebody else, do it. Get involved. I love it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tim. And thank you again to the viewers and listeners. I appreciate you. And remember, it's just a small gesture, a glance, a yes, a small yes, even a small one can really open up your heart, your path to an act of service that can change someone's life. I know Tim's changed mine. So thank you so much, everyone.
Uh,
Until next time, be well and take good care.